Welcome to tonight's Meet the Filmmakers at the Apple Store, Regent Street in London. Please welcome guest moderator, writer and broadcaster, Rick Edwards.
Hello, hello. Good evening, how are you all? You all right? Oh, okay, lively. Obviously, when the filmmakers come out, you'll need to settle down a bit, otherwise they won't be able to hear themselves think. So, yes, welcome to this Meet the Filmmakers event, which is going to be with the director and stars of How I Live Now, which is out on general release on Thursday, the 4th of October. I think I've got that right. Let's start by having a look at the trailer for the film.
Hi. No one calls me Elizabeth, except my dad, and he's an asshole. So if you don't mind, my name's Daisy. Before the war, I thought one day the world around me would start to make sense.
And I ain't need nothing else, no one else but you and I.
I was looking for reasons why things happen. Who is that?
Edmund, he's the oldest.
I guess I was pretty naive back then.
You and I, no one else, nothing else but you and I.
I'm glad you came. It's better with you here.
What's going on?
Following the detonation of a nuclear device, all civilians are being evacuated.
This is our home. We're not leaving.
I want to be here with you.
Girls, follow me. Wherever they take you, find a way to get back here. Promise me. You can't split us up.
We need to get away from here. I've got everything together. We're going home. Go! They're coming! Let her go! If the world doesn't end, if we can't get through this, I want to be home with you. And that's how I live now.
You're right to clap. You are right to clap. Now, please welcome to the stage the director, Kevin MacDonald, and two of the stars of How I Live Now, Saoirse Ronan and George McKay.
Thank you.
Take a seat. Thank you. How are you all? You all right?
Very well, thank
This
you.
is very
Are
exciting.
you enjoying your headsets?
Yes.
I
It
love
feels
the
very
headsets.
Apple. It feels typically Apple to have a
It's like
headset.
we're in the future, doing a future Q&A.
Yeah.
Kevin, how long ago did you first get an inkling that this was a film that you wanted to make?
I was sent the book by the producer, Charles Steele, and he was at the time making it with another director. And he just said, oh, this is a great book. I want to make it into film, so have a read. And I read it and thought it was a beautiful book. So my interest in making the film just came purely out of admiring and loving the book and thinking it was really original and unusual.
So is he trying to make you feel jealous by saying, I'm making this film with this other director?
No, he thought it would be a little gentle relief from whatever I was doing at the time, I think. And then fortunately for me, that other director, went off and did something else, and so I got to do it.
That's serendipity. And have you guys read the book?
Yeah.
I hadn't, which sounds very unprofessional, but
No, that's fine. You're
Does a
busy.
bit.
Deeply unprofessional.
Does a little bit.
It was a deliberate policy.
No, it was. I chose to read the book after we made the film, which I've usually done whenever I've been in a film that's been adapted from a book anyway, because I just prefer to focus on the screenplay. But I read parts of it afterwards and was very emotional. It's always interesting to go back to a book afterwards because you suddenly picture like George as Eddie and basically all the scenes. You basically picture the film.
Yeah.
You know?
What did you make of the book when you read it then, George?
I thought it was beautiful. Like, my sister was I've got a younger sister, and she was a fan of the book, so she put me onto it. And I wanted to read it anyway, just because with Eddie, his whole thing of, understanding people on a kind of deeper level, anything that would kind of let me, although the characters are somewhat different in the book and the script, obviously they're, based
sort
on
of
each
an
other.
amalgam of two.
Yeah, so just anything that would kind of give me more of an understanding to each character, so I wanted to read it.
I guess it's not easy adapting a book that has such a strong kind of first-person narrative, like the internal
Yeah, no, that's the hardest thing about this adaptation was that it's all in a first-person spoken voice of Daisy in a way, and you can't have a voiceover through the film from beginning to end. So we had to find a way to create the character anew in a way, by giving her ways to articulate how she felt, and for us to visualize how she felt. All the things that had been internalized in the book and she could write down in her diary or whatever. We had to find ways to externalize those, and that was tricky. And it took a long time. It took. I think we worked on the script for a couple of years, and a couple of different writers had a go at it. And it was probably the hardest adaptation I've ever done.
Originally, you wanted a cast of unknowns, didn't you? At what point did you change your mind about that?
When I met Saoirse.
Sure.
What happened originally was that I wanted unknowns because it felt like this should be a... first of all, the characters in the book, I should say, are 15 and 14, I think, the two that you see before you, Daisy and Eddie. And so I was looking for young actors who were a bit younger. And I went to America and I had a casting director there who saw thousands of girls. And I couldn't find anybody who either seemed right to me or who had the acting talent or more than anything else had the kind of the edge or the sense of the damage that there is in Daisy. Because Daisy is a character, there's quite a lot of damage in her. And they all seem too happy. I don't know, American teenagers, they all seem so well balanced. I don't know. And so then I met Saoirse, and she's really not well balanced.
I'm not well balanced at all.
No, then I met Saoirse, and she read a couple of scenes from it, and I thought, my God, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I immediately phone her up in the first place and say, will you do this film, please, Saoirse? Because she was so brilliant, and she, I think, gave me a lump in my throat when she read those scenes. And it became obvious then that we should make the character a little older, so I think Saoirse was playing someone who was 16, and because she looked so youthful. And I think you were 18 at the time, though, weren't you? Just turned 18, or 17, 18. So yeah, that's how I came across Saoirse. And then really everything else fell into place around her, because once you've got one solid piece, the casting is usually very easy. So George, I had seen a tape that he did really early on in the process, and I'd thought, oh, he's too old. I dismissed him because I'd imagined in my head a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old girl playing Daisy. And then it was the casting director who said, oh, what about George? And so, oh, yeah, let's look at him again. And he came in and he read with Saoirse, and they had beautiful chemistry, and that's how it happened.
I was going to say, because it's incredibly important to the film that the two of them, speaking about you like you're not here, have this kind of chemistry, electric chemistry from the off. Was that what you were looking for when
yeah, I think so. I mean, well, more than anything else, I was looking for two wonderful actors, and they both are wonderful, wonderful actors, and it brought huge depth, brought so much. Great actors bring so much more than what's on the page to the part, and so yeah, that was what I was looking for. But also, it felt like you need to believe that they fall in love. There's nothing worse. We've all seen love stories where you think there's no way that those two are together. It just doesn't feel right, and it's a sort of chemical thing, isn't it? And so. They felt like they had that, and felt like they could believably be in a relationship together. And then I was lucky enough to get for the other cast, some really brilliant young actors. Tom Holland, who you might have seen in The Impossible, who's now filming with Ron Howard tonight, so he can't be with us. Okay. He's got too big for his boots. And then Harley Bird, who plays a little 10-year-old girl, who's the voice of Peppa Pig. For those of you who know who Peppa Pig is. Big name amongst 3-year-olds.
Yeah, my goddaughter Violet loves her. Is it interesting as actors when you're going into a situation knowing that it's important that you have chemistry, which I suppose is something you can't necessarily control or engineer, because when that happens, as Kevin says, it's quite transparent, isn't it? And I guess you can't influence it. You just got to hope that it was going to work.
Yeah, I think you could. I mean, I remember when George came in to read, and it was probably only about 2 weeks after I got the part, so it was very fresh for me, and it just felt really great when he came in. I think for both of us, whether it was me coming in to audition or him, and so I think that would have been the main thing to find anyway in those early stages, but. If you don't have that, even when it does come to shooting, I think it can be very difficult, and especially to have those intimate scenes together, even if it's not a sexually intimate scene, just an intimate scene between two people. It always helps when you can actually kind of identify with that other person and talk to them about the scene beforehand, and we were able to do that.
Was the look of Daisy and Eddie very important to you, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're obviously from completely different worlds. And Daisy's look changes dramatically through the film, and Daisy as a character changes dramatically through the film. And when she arrives in the in this pastoral idyll where the other kids live, she in every way is an outsider, and she's bringing her kind of. I guess she's from New York, although it's never said in the film that she's from New York. In the book, she's from New York. But she's bringing her kind of big city alienation and whatever with her, and she's bringing her kind of music. And at the beginning, she's got her headphones on as though she doesn't want to have to engage with the world, and it's a way of protecting herself. And she's kind of pretty bitchy to everybody, and doesn't want to open herself up at all. And she arrives then in this beautiful English countryside idyll, and she's opened up and kind of made to feel for the first time that she's loved and wanted, I think, in this environment, and has found a family, an ersatz family for herself.
We can actually have a look at a clip of Daisy arriving in that idyll now, I think.
Oh, hey, this is Joe.
He's our next door neighbour. Well, sort of. But he lives with us as much as he can. That was his dog, Jin. No, come back!
Bless you. Hey, do you want a drink?
No.
And you can wash your hands in the sink if you want.
Mom! She's here!
Piper, leave her. It's not time.
Is your mom out, or...?
No, she's in her study. We don't usually see her before 9.
She's an expert in loony extremists. She's going to save the world.
Piper, shut up. Take Cousin Daisy to her room.
Come on, Cousin Daisy. I need to give you the grand tour of the house. This is my unicorn I was telling you about. Shh, that's Mum's office. Now we will come up the stairs. That's the junk room that Joe sleeps in sometimes when his dad's being a wanker. I know what a wanker is, by the way. And in here is your room. You've so got the best bed in the house.
Uh-huh. Well, I think my dad's probably trying to get through to me, so... I'd kind of like to yell at him in private. So, can you leave? Now, please?
All right. Can I get you a cup of tea?
No, thanks.
When we first meet your character, Saoirse, she's not very likeable.
She's lovely.
Yeah, well, I'll disagree. Was that part of the appeal, playing someone who had that kind of like defences up, or was just a bit of a bitch?
Bit of a bitch. Yeah, I remember a note that Kevin used to always give me, especially at the start, was just a simple, let's bitch it up on the next one. Let's just bitch it up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that was the main draw. Apart from working with Kevin, that was the main draw for me, was getting to play someone who wasn't very likeable and was quite abrasive and quite hard to figure out, you know, because not only is that so much fun to play, but it means that she has somewhere to go and she begins to become a bit more broken down as the story goes on. And I had played quite a few characters up to that point, recently at that point, that were very understanding and very kind, you know, sweet people, and I didn't really want to do that anymore, so...
It's like a sort of palate cleanser for you.
Yeah.
To show
didn't want to get bored.
your real self.
Exactly. I wanted to show who I really am. But the whole New York thing as well, I mean, for me, that was a really big part of who Daisy was and her attitude and her character. And even her look, you know, I feel like just being a New Yorker in general can be a great kind of defence. And I know that I even use it sometimes too. I was born over there, and that was something that really, I think, gave me the confidence to bring out the attitude that hopefully she needed. So,
how did you crack the accent?
Well, I've done the American accent a lot. I've done it in almost every film that I've been in, apart from a few. And I was born there, and I grew up with American TV and have been around American people my whole life, and I think my ear was probably just open to it from an early age. So.
Sure. You mentioned the intimate scenes. The sex scene is a vital part of the story. I just imagine these things are incredibly awkward, are they?
I didn't think
it was. No, it was. It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
it's great.
It was very awkward for Saoirse, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. No, but it's something we kind of just worked out a strong backbone to it, really. So that I think the most awkward thing is kind of knowing what's too far, what's not enough, all that kind of thing, because you can sort of do whatever when you're sort of doing a kind of talky scene, but it's there's kind of boundaries of kind of what's not enough, what's too much, sort of thing. So we just kind of laid a strong backbone, really, and then so we knew where to go, so it was fine.
How did you find it from a directing point of view?
Well, it's only the second sex scene that I'd ever done. I did one in Last King of Scotland, which was a completely
really
different sort of thing, which was very full on and very sort of sexy.
That's what we started out with, and then we had to pull it back.
Then we toned it down a little
bit.
No, it's and the thing I learned, in fact, when I made Last King of Scotland, I'd never made a feature film before, and I knew Danny Boyle a little bit, and I said to Danny, "Will you can I come out for tea with you, and can you tell me a few tips for how I direct my first film?" And he gave me a sort of 10 pointers to directing a movie, which was very useful. And one of them was about directing sex scenes, and he said to me, the thing to do is to make it completely unsexy. So rehearse it in to death, and make it all just like a choreography that you got to do. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this, and you want to take all the sort of sexuality out of it. And I think that was sort of how we approached it. And we tried. A lot of the film was done in a sort of semi-improvisational kind of way. And so we tried, various things out. And it was just me and the cameraman and a sound man, and that was sort of it. Very small set. And because you don't really know what's going to feel authentic, what's going to feel really loving between two people until you try it. So we tried various different things and hit upon the right note, I hope.
Have your friends and families seen the scene?
Yeah, my family have, yeah.
Yeah.
And?
Well, my...
Well, that marks out of 10 or something.
My parents saw it with me. It was me and my best mate in the back row of this cinema, and they sat up the front. And I said to my mum, because I couldn't really see whether they were looking at it or not, I was kind of peering down and looking away at the same time. And afterwards, I said to my mum, "Listen, did you sexy and did you watch it?" And she said, "I just told your dad to look at the floor, and I tell him when to look up again." That's what they did. That was fine though. I wasn't nervous about. I was surprised that I wasn't nervous. Remember, I said to you beforehand.
Yeah.
I felt fine about it.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that's kind of, I don't know, more for other people kind of get kind of sort of nervous about it for you. Like, how's it going to be? And we just did it, and it was grand. Like, so.
We were comfortable together, so I think that makes a difference too.
Yeah, huge difference, for sure. I think I went into this film thinking, so it's based on a book for teenagers or young adults, and so it's not going to be that disturbing. And on the contrary, there are some generally kind of terrifying moments within the film. Was it tricky making sure that you sort of got the balance right for the audience? How far to push it, I suppose?
I don't know. I didn't think about that much. I just thought about making the most powerful film that I could. And really, a lot of the stuff that's in the film that's shocking was in the book. But I think when you read about something, it has less impact on you, I think, than when you see it and it's sort of literal in front of you. And I think a lot of people have asked me, Harley, the young girl, she's only 10 years old and she had to see some horrible things. But of course, it's not like that. When there's a dead body lying there and Harley's, 10, she goes up and says, "How do you do that makeup?" and pokes the body and pokes the stuntman, and it becomes part of the fun of the day's filming. So it's not at all disturbing for her. But what I really wanted to do with the film was to surprise the audience, because I was surprised reading the book about what happens in it, and I wanted to recreate that feeling for the audience. So they start off thinking it's one sort of film. It's a sort of teen love story of a type that they might be quite familiar with, and there's various tropes from sort of teen films that they might have seen before, and then wham, they're blindsided by a very different sort of film that takes the plot takes a real left turn. So I think, I hope people are quite shocked by it. I hope people are moved by it. But I hope also at the end that they feel like it's a moving and positive experience, because it's a film about love. That, more than anything else, is about how love can help you survive the greatest hardships in your life.
I felt exactly as you described. I felt like you kind of sold me a dummy, basically. I was watching a sort of coming-of-age love story, and then suddenly, yeah, it just goes in a direction, because I didn't know the plot at all. So it's successful. We can have a look at a clip, actually, where it makes that sort of radical left turn.
This is how you make the best marshmallows. Place it in quite a small place. Make sure it's quite a hot
Don't put
plate.
it in for too long. Try some of this.
Do I have to?
Yes, it's really good.
These are actually pretty good.
What's up with them? It's probably Sally just getting into the house. I can hear for miles.
Sally's our au pair. She's got double jointed thumbs.
What's happening? Better get home.
It's snowing.
Get the stuff, we're going. Piper, come on, we're going now.
Prior to that scene and the outbreak of a Third World War, it's this, as you mentioned, it's kind of bucolic ideal, and it's kids together having fun and having kind of little adventures. Was that enjoyable to film, that kind of section of the film?
Yeah, we had the best time doing it. It was just, everyone got on so well, and that's always kind of a standard thing that I'm sure lots of people say, and might not always be true, but we really did become like a little family. And yeah, as Kevin said, there was a sort of level of improvisation in some scenes as well, so it all kind of felt very free and wonderful. Yeah, we just had the best time.
And your character is basically absent from the second half of the film, George, apart from in a few kind of unsettling sort of dream sequences. So it's absolutely vital that you make this kind of connection with the audience and make them understand that, your character is the drive for Daisy's journey. Did you find that challenging? Did that kind of prey on your mind that you needed to kind of grab the audience in that?
I guess, yeah, I mean, obviously he's got an important role to play, but I think it's the thing of when, you love someone, it's kind of you love them, and most of the time it's like it's rare that it's anyone else but you who loves them truly. So therefore it's a personal connection, it's a personal love that Daisy has, and obviously there's got to be some sort of crossover for audiences to be in touch with them as well, but it's Daisy's love more than anything. So I just wanted to concentrate on that, which I relieved. It didn't feel sort of any pressure to kind of.
Certainly something I thought about a lot, about how to. It's the sort of cold mountain problem, I called it. Which is that film. One of I love that film, but I think one of the things that maybe doesn't work so well as it should in that film is that I'm not sure you remember the love that you've been set up at the beginning between Jude Law's character and who is it?
Nicole.
Nicole Kidman. And I think by the time they get back together, you've almost forgotten the love at the beginning. So it was something that I was thinking about quite a lot, how to deal with that.
Okay. Give a look at another clip, actually. It's one of the sort of quite disturbing and bleak set pieces that affected me anyway.
Do you think Eddie and Isaac are okay?
Yeah, of course they are.
Chocolates!
Piper, come on. Piper!
Finish it. We need to keep moving.
Are you okay?
I said keep moving.
There's, I think we'll open it up to the floor in a moment, but I was just kind of wondering, there's an awful lot going on in the film. There's this coming-of-age story, there's a love story, all set against the backdrop of a nuclear war of some description, which we don't get a lot of detail about. What's the main message that you want people to take away from the film, each of you, do you think?
Well, for me, I think I already said how I see it, which is that it's a film about love and the power that love can give you to survive the toughest of circumstances.
Saoirse?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing. I don't think you can really put it better than that. It's, I think some of the best films are simply about love. And I think we can probably all agree that that is ultimately the most important thing in anyone's life. And so especially for two young people who, in Daisy's situation in particular, have never had that intense feeling for someone before, to have this for the first time and have it taken away from them so soon is so heartbreaking. And that's what I think is so important about really showing how idyllic the first half of the film is. So you really, as Kevin said, you really miss not only Eddie but that whole world when it's gone. And it's about any journey that you will go through to get back to that place. So
yeah, I would echo both of those. It's a film about love and the power of it and what it can inspire you to do, and that's everything basically. Yeah.
And about family as well, I think. That's what I like, is that it is about their love story and their separation, but so much of it is about Isaac and Piper and Joe as well, and how they all cross paths at some stage, whether it be good or bad. And
about how Daisy finds a family.
How she finds a family, and also how Eddie is so committed to his family and protecting them, and then welcoming Daisy into that circle and protecting her too. So I think it's about that as well.
It's sort of every form of love, really. Be it, you know, sort of family, platonic, you know, like a relationship, a first love, parental. It's love in all its most purest form.
Okay, I think we've got a mic sort of lurking around. If anyone's got a question they'd like to ask, don't be shy. If you are shy, I'll just ask more questions.
Not shy.
So I can talk forever. Yes.
This question's for Saoirse. In the past, you played quite like dark roles or sort of intense roles. Would you ever look to do sort of like a comedy or like a romance?
I think that's what everyone's wondering. Maybe something where I don't shoot someone. You guys haven't seen it yet. I shoot someone in the film.
You're ruining it.
And I'm not ruining it. It'll get bums and seats, this will. No, it's my dad, and my dad plays the guy that I shoot. Anyway, a little bit of trivia for you. No, I'd love to. I'd really love to. I mean, I've grown up watching comedy mainly, and it's really probably my favourite genre, all in all. I never kind of get sick of watching a comedy film. So I'd love to do something like that. I mean, the first film that I did was a rom-com, but nobody saw it. So I'd like to do one that maybe someone might see. Kevin, do you want to...
Yeah, let's do a rom-com.
Should we just pair up on this? Should we all get in on this? How I Live Now, the sequel, but happier times.
Anyone else? Yes.
The film looks beautiful. Where did you shoot?
Well, it's a film about the magical power of the English countryside, so we naturally shot it in Wales. Because it's very unspoilt. Sorry? Where in Wales? In South Wales. A place called Llandofri, if you know it, or just near there. Oh, okay.
Where are you from in Wales?
Okay, so it's not that close to there.
I like it when it turns into a Q&A with a member of the audience.
Yeah, so tell us about yourself.
Where did you go to school? Okay.
It's great in Wales. We loved Wales.
How was the weather?
Atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see the film, which hopefully you will, you'll see that it looks like a lovely summer. It looks like the perfect summer. And that was the biggest effort in making the whole film, was making it look good, because we had literally half hour here and a half hour there where it was sunny, and we'd run up a hill and go, let's shoot now, quickly, the sun's out. It was just rained continuously. You remember, even in London, it was miserable last summer. And ironically, as I was talking to Saoirse earlier, I've just been filming this summer a film that's all set in a submarine. Where I don't need any natural light at all.
It's all dark.
Which I could have used this summer with last year.
There's a sort of specific look to the two, not quite halves, but the two sections, I suppose, of the film. Was that something you were quite conscious of? Even in terms of the camera work, there's a change, isn't there?
Yeah, no, we made the cameraman Franz Lustig and I made a sort of decision that when Daisy and Eddie are split up, that the whole feel of the film, the whole atmosphere of it should shift. So we went from this, the color palette changed, the grading changed, the camera moves changed. It went from being handheld and rather romantic and colorful to being either locked off or on Steadicam or much more controlled crane work and that kind of thing. So it creates something more distanced feel, a slightly colder feel.
Yeah.
Which suits the coldness of that second half of the film, and of course then it changes again when they re-meet at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
you've ruined it now, Kevin. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
I don't know.
Yeah. And she shoots someone. Maybe we have time for one more question. Yes,
that's true.
Could you talk about the collaboration between you and John Hopkins, because the score is beautiful. I listened to it on iTunes, and.
Good reference.
Preview of it. Yes.
Appreciate that.
There's a voucher coming your way after this.
Yeah, could you talk about like the themes and sort of like the tone you went for?
Yeah, no, I mean John is absolutely wonderful, and those of you who don't know his work, he's nominated for a Mercury Prize this year, as he was a couple of years ago when he did a collaboration with King Creosote. And what I love about his music, and particularly what he's done for the film, is that he managed to combine fragile, heartbreaking melodies with electronica and amazing use of kind of ambient sounds and sound effects that are kind of embroiled into the music. And there's not many other people who can do that, who can both write a heartfelt melody and also can master that sort of soundscape style of scoring. And he really can do both. And yeah, you should listen to the rest of his music, but also buy the soundtrack. I think it's already up, is it? There's a preview. Okay, well it is absolutely beautiful.
I think that is all we've got time for, so please just join me in saying a big thank you and give a big round of applause to Kevin, Saoirse and George.